15 September 1940, 11:02 a.m., RAF Bentley Priory, Middlesex. The clock ticks too loud in the darkened operations room. Cigarette smoke hangs low, trapped beneath the lamps. Women in RAF blue move wooden markers across a glass table, hands steady, faces pale. A bell rings, once, then again. Phones crackle, voices tighten. Outside, the sky is deceptively calm. Far out over the channel, sunlight flashes off aluminum wings. Engines thrum in disciplined waves. Heinkel HE-111s fly nose to tail, escorted by Messerschmitt Bf-109s, their pilots relaxed, confident. This is routine now. England is supposed to be finished. In Berlin, they joked about it. Tall metal towers along the coast. Masts, some called them. Others laughed harder. British scare crews. Intelligence officers waved them away. Toys. Nothing that could stop the Luftwaffe. At Bentley Priory, no one is laughing. A young WAAF plotter bites her lip as a new marker slides onto the board. Red. Another follows, and another. The formation is massive. Bigger than yesterday. Bigger than the last time. The room tightens around it. Air Chief Marshal Hugh Dowding stands apart, hands clasped behind his back. He doesn't move. He doesn't need to. He's already seen this moment, hours ago, on a screen no German pilot believes matters. Somewhere in Kent, radar pulses bounce off metal skin and return as light on a cathode ray tube. Spitfire pilots sit in their cockpits, engines idling, sweat running down their backs despite the September air. They stare forward, waiting, not knowing why the order hasn't come. Then the phone rings again. Dowding turns. Quietly, he speaks. And across southern England, fighters begin to rise, straight toward an enemy that still thinks it is unseen. Above the channel, the laughter is about to stop. The radar station at Ventnor shakes as the generators hum. Concrete walls sweat. A young technician leans closer to the glowing tube, watching pale spikes rise and fall like a living thing. One spike grows taller, then splits. Multiple plots, he says, barely above a whisper. This is not guesswork. This is distance, bearing, altitude, numbers translated into certainty. The chain home system reaches across the coast, its radio waves racing outward, striking aluminum and returning with secrets. Every second, the picture sharpens. In a Messerschmitt cockpit, Oberleutnant Karl Fischer adjusts his goggles. England lies ahead, green and harmless beneath broken cloud. He scans the sky. Nothing. No fighters. No threat. Just the steady drone of bombers holding formation. He smiles. Below him, unseen, the British already know his name, his height, his heading. At Bentley Priory, markers slide again, blue this time, squadrons lifting from Biggin Hill, Hornchurch, Northolt. Hurricanes claw into the sky, followed by Spitfires, engines screaming as they turn toward a precise point in empty air. Pilots don't search, they don't wander, they're vectored. Angels, 15, turn starboard, enemy approaching head-on. The voice in their headphones is calm, clinical, godlike. For the first time, German formations begin to feel it, a ripple of unease. Radio chatter tightens. Where are the fighters? Why isn't England blind yet? Then, movement. Dark specks ahead, growing fast. Fisher's smile vanishes. British fighters burst from the sun, diving with brutal accuracy. Cannon fire tears through the lead bomber. A wing folds, smoke pours out. Parachutes bloom too low. This wasn't luck. This wasn't coincidence. As German pilots scramble to react, one terrifying realization spreads from cockpit to cockpit. The enemy was waiting, and this time the sky belongs to someone else. Bentley Priory hums like a living organism. Phones ring, voices overlap. The plotting table glows beneath its lamps, a map of Britain layered with threat and response. To an outsider it looks chaotic. To Dowding, it is order. Every squadron is rationed, every minute calculated. He knows the truth others miss. Britain cannot win by brute force. There are not enough pilots, not enough aircraft. Victory lies in timing, in interception, not pursuit, in striking once, then pulling back before the Luftwaffe can crush what remains. Hold 12 group, Dowding says quietly. It is a dangerous decision. In the air, squadron leader John Paddy Hemingway tightens his grip as his Hurricane shudders from return fire. Tracers streak past his canopy. He sees a Dornier falling nose first, flames licking its fuselage. But there are more, always more. Fuel gauges dip, ammunition runs low. The instinct is to stay, to chase, to finish the kill. Instead, the order comes. Break off, return to base. Pilots curse. Some ignore it for precious seconds longer. Then discipline takes over. They peel away, engines straining, disappearing into cloud. From above, it looks like retreat. German radio chatter crackles with excitement. They're running. Luftwaffe commanders seize the moment. Bombers press on. Escorts dive lower, hunting retreating fighters. Confidence surges back. Perhaps the British are finally breaking. But back at RAF airfields, ground crews are already moving, refueling, reloading, patching bullet holes with frantic efficiency. Fresh pilots climb into cockpits still warm from the last sortie. Dowding watches the clock. This is the web. As German formations push deeper, believing resistance is fading, the radar screens light again. New returns, new angles, new opportunities. Blue markers slide forward once more. The fighters are coming back. And the Luftwaffe, stretched, tired, and low on fuel, has no idea what is about to hit them. Over London, the air fractures. At 12:30 p.m., the first bombs fall short, ripping into open fields instead of factories. Seconds later, the sky erupts with motion. Spitfires surge upward through scattered cloud, engines howling, wings flashing silver as they climb straight into the bomber streams. This is the second blow. Messerschmitt escorts are already low, fuel gauges trembling near empty. They claw for altitude too late. British fighters slice through the formations with ruthless precision, firing at point-blank range. A Heinkel shudders, then disintegrates. Another spirals down, trailing smoke, its crew trapped inside. In one cockpit, a German gunner screams as a Hurricane fills his sight, guns blazing. The aircraft lurches. The scream cuts off. On the ground, civilians look up in terror as wreckage rains down, black smoke marking death in the sky. Church bells ring by accident as blast waves roll through streets. Back at Bentley Priory, Dowding finally exhales. This is the moment he built everything for. German formations are breaking apart now. Discipline collapses into survival. Bombers turn back early, escorts scatter, radios clogged with frantic calls for headings, for fuel, for help. None comes. The radar screens show it clearly, enemy plots bending away from London, thinning, fragmenting, retreat. In Berlin, hours later, reports will arrive in fragments. Losses too heavy, crews missing, no clear explanation. The British response feels unnatural, impossible. How did they always know? In the sky over southern England, the answer is written in vapor trails and falling metal. The Luftwaffe is no longer hunting. It is being hunted. And as the last German aircraft turns for home, another realization begins to settle. Quiet, cold, undeniable. England is not blind. England is watching. Night falls over airfields still burning with heat and noise. Engines tick as they cool. Ground crews slump against hangar walls, hands black with oil, faces hollowed by exhaustion. Pilots light cigarettes with shaking fingers, replaying seconds that felt like hours. The losses are tallied in silence. Across the channel, German aircraft land hard, some barely making the coast. Fuel tanks run dry on approach. Wheels collapse. Crews climb out stunned, eyes searching the dark sky as if it might strike again. Mechanics count bullet holes and find too many. In a Stab in northern France, Luftwaffe officers spread maps across tables. Red grease pencil marks show routes flown. Blue arrows show where British fighters appeared. Every time, impossibly precise. At first, the explanations are small. Luck, weather, coincidence, British bravery. But the pattern refuses to break. The fighters arrive too early, too often, from the right direction. One intelligence officer clears his throat. "The masts," he says. The room stills. Along the English coast, those tall metal towers stand unchanged, humming quietly, their work already done. What was dismissed as primitive now looks sinister. Not a weapon, but an eye, one that never blinks. In Berlin, Hermann Göring grows furious. Orders change by the hour. Airfields are targeted. Cities are bombed. Rage replaces calculation. The Luftwaffe will break British morale instead. Dowding hears the reports and says nothing. He knows this shift means one thing. The pressure on Fighter Command will ease. The system will survive. The pilots will breathe. As German strategy unravels, British radar continues its silent sweep, pulse after pulse, turning arrogance into error. The laughter is gone now. What remains is fear, and the understanding that the war in the air has changed forever.
31 October 1940. Dusk, southern England. The radar screens are quieter now, not silent, but different. Smaller returns, scattered. No great black waves rolling in from the channel. The operators notice it first, then the controllers, finally Dowding. The Luftwaffe is no longer coming in force. On airfields, pilots stand watching the horizon, half expecting engines to appear out of habit alone. The wind moves across empty runways. Autumn settles in. Britain still stands. In Germany, the invasion plan, Operation Sea Lion, is folded away, never to be unfolded again. No announcement, no admission, just absence. What began as metal towers and radio pulses has rewritten the rules of war. For the first time, a nation has defended itself not with more aircraft, but with information, seeing before striking, choosing when to fight and when not to. The Battle of Britain is over. The sky has chosen its side. In later years, Dowding will receive little applause. Radar stations will rust, towers will fall. But the system he built, this fusion of machines, minds, and men, will become the blueprint for modern warfare. A young pilot looks up as the sun slips below the clouds. He lives to see another day. And across history, one truth endures. The war was won not when Britain fought harder, but when it saw first.